The universe isn't just out there, it's interacting with you. Claim your power by embracing the unknown. This is Tracy with Tracy Talks, and I'm here to ignite your curiosity. Don't just listen, embrace it. I used to feel like aging was going to be this process where I would gracefully flow through different phases. As I came into myself more, I was automatically going to gain more confidence. I was going to feel more grounded into who I am. That is a statement that I do agree with, that I feel like I know who I am more. There isn't this unknown world that I'm seeking somewhere else. I know what I like, what I don't like. I know what I can tolerate, what I can't tolerate. And maybe that's part of it, where I know more about myself, so I know which paths I don't even want to go down. I know which people I don't want to surround myself with. I know where I do belong and where I don't belong. And maybe that's where this idea of stress is coming from. When I was younger, I was just like everybody else, exploring different parts of myself, trying to figure out who I was and what I needed. And now that I know those things, it almost seems like life can feel more challenging at times. There are relationships that no longer feel like they need to be maintained. There are places that I no longer want to go. I have no desire to go there. And while I'm fine with making those decisions, it also ignites more responses from other people. Like, the more that I have become grounded into myself, the more I have to explain to people around me why I don't want to do that or why I do want to do that. I guess I thought some of these relationships were just going to get easier. It's this idea that there is shared history, there's shared understanding and awareness. Therefore, I shouldn't have to justify and explain myself. But those are exactly the relationships that I am having to have those conversations with. Like, you know who I am. You know how I'm going to respond. You know how direct I can be. You know how I've never wanted to follow along with the group. You know how I've always wanted to be my own individual self outside of the family. I was the one that was always wanted to do something different. I didn't have the same interest. And it's interesting because I'm seeing friends around me as well too, that some of our relationships where we have been with these people along the way are acting like they don't know who we are suddenly wanting us to be a different version. It's that statement that you've changed. And I see it sometimes where, no, I haven't actually changed. I just couldn't keep up the facade anymore. I couldn't keep up this version that I needed to be. So many times we have these versions of ourselves, and it's almost like we're afraid if we show somebody everything about us that they aren't going to love us. And we hold a little bit back. We hide a little bit, not necessarily for deception or to hurt somebody, but this idea that if they see all of these parts of me, they're probably not going to love me. And now I realize that that's one of the biggest indicators that this person probably isn't for me, and that I probably do need to show them everything. All of those quirks that come out when I'm home alone? Are there people in your life that get to see the full version of you? I think there's so many of us that on some level are still holding things back. And I even see people who say, yeah, they're getting all of me, that I'm not hiding anything, but then have conversations on the side, and when their partner isn't around, they say different things. And it's like, at what point are we just really going to fully embrace who we are and just say what we want to say and need to say and admit who we are and what we need? Part of me is just like, seriously? I mean, I thought all of this kind of stuff would have been worked out, but again, wasn't given the tools, didn't have the communication skills, didn't have the words, wasn't taught to say how I was really feeling. Nobody wanted to hear that. Nobody wanted to hear the true emotions I had inside of me. There was such a push in our younger years to figure out what we wanted to do when we grew up. And it was always revolving around this profession that we wanted to do, instead of qualities of a person that we wanted to become. We were more focused on this role that we were supposed to play. We're supposed to fill a role, instead of encouraging all of us to figure out a way to show up in the world as our authentic self, and then figure out what role we can best fulfill with all of our skills. I mean, I'm having to reverse engineer this. I tried to fill a role. It didn't fit. I could do it. I didn't love it. I could be in this relationship. I filled the role of a wife, of a partner. It didn't really fit. And that was kind of because I was trying to fill the role and not find the person that fit together with me. Life has been this re-engineering of, okay, who am I? I tried to fill all these roles. They didn't fulfill some deeper purpose. They didn't connect anything inside of me. So now I'm having to strip that role off. I'm having to strip that identity off. And well, that one didn't work. And okay, so who am I left with? And that's what I've been doing for the past few years, is like, okay, I'm not this role. I'm not these set of characteristics. I'm not this genre. And who am I? And it's interesting, I have been single for so long, and I know a lot of people who don't want to be single, afraid to be single, have always had a relationship. They've always had their identity within a relationship. And I know for myself, I could not have done this stripping away while being in a relationship. Being in these roles somehow almost requires us to perform in some way. There are structures for which we have to fit into. And someone who has short relationships can actually probably transform a lot quicker, in my opinion, than somebody who's been in a relationship for 25 years. Like if you're somebody that's dated somebody, on and off for a year, You learn some lessons with this person and you're like, well, that didn't really fit and that's not really who I am. And let me try this. And then you try somebody else on, you're like, wow, that's not really me. That's not a fit for me. And then you try somebody else on and you're like, wow. And the more that you try different roles on, the more you try different relationships on, the more you learn and the faster you grow. I've done that with my professional life as well. It's been very upsetting to some people around me to see me in this position. They don't outwardly say it, but there's passive aggressive comments. There are comments about, why are you doing this? What are you doing? I have learned a great deal about myself and have allowed this transformation to continue. I'm learning about myself. I'm stripping back the layers. I'm stripping back the identities. And then I see people who have been in relationships for 25 years or have been at a job for 25 years and they've been restricted into this one identity and they haven't been able to change because the minute that they try to do something different, everybody freaks out. What are you doing? Why are you changing now? You've always been like this. And this probably isn't going to be a popular statement, but the people that I have seen that have been in these long-term commitments, job, relationship, whatever it is, it's almost like a lot of them have had their growth stunted. And then I have these examples of these people that are struggling to have a relationship, feel bad because they can't find their one person, but have done immense amounts of growth. They aren't the same person. They are resilient. They have been willing to change. They are changing. And I've said this before, if I had been in this dysfunctional marriage that I was in for all of this time, I would not have been able to grow at this same level. I would have spent all of my time trying to justify to somebody why I wanted to try something different. Why are we having that for dinner? We've never had that for dinner. Why did you decide to cook that? I don't know. It sounded good. It just something different. I mean, when I look back at how many times so much energy was exerted into just trying to explain simple little things like that. I see it in the people around me. Arguing over stupidness. I am thankful for my freedom. I am thankful for this part of my process where I can evolve and grow. And I don't know, again, I wasn't given a manual when I set out when I was a youngster. I wasn't given this manual for relationships that how do we continue to grow and define friendships and partners and all of these close people that we have around us, family, siblings. I guess I can say that I honestly thought it was going to run a little bit smoother, that it wasn't going to be such a clunky process. But here I am, learning every day, willing to grow, facing every day the best that I can with the tools that I have. And until next time, we meet again. Thank you for listening to this episode of Tracy Talks. Remember to rate, review, and subscribe, and share with others who would enjoy listening to this podcast. Friends can find Tracy Talks available on iTunes, Spotify, Substack, and YouTube. Hit me up on Instagram and Facebook at More Tracy Talks. And until next time, we meet again.